Tuning you in now to the LBX show with your host, Brandon Wiley. Brought to you by the LBX Collective, your community to connect, engage, and inspire.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the LBX show, number 15 for January 9th, 2025. All right. So we have a great show today. First of all, we're going to start off with some news you should know. I'm actually pretty excited to talk about a new Dave & Buster's. Well, it's not exactly new, but it is the new version of Dave & Buster's that I had a chance to go and visit out in Ohio. And then we're going to have an open and shut with Kevin Williams. And then we're going to round things out with Adam Pratt from Arcade Heroes and his Arcade Corner. So without further ado, let's get into some news you should know. All right, so some news you should know is Amusement Expo is coming up March 17th to the 20th, 2025 at the Las Vegas Convention Center. And, there's going to be a good time there. So I'm excited to go and check out some of the education. But then also we're going to be doing some live podcast streaming from the show floor. We're going to be doing that with Kevin Williams, my podcast, Sound Off podcast buddy. So we will be doing that a couple of times a day while we're on the Amusement Expo show floor. We're going to be in a little space for the LBX Collective right next to the media booth. So you'll be able to check us out there. And it's going to be a good time to go see what all new things are going on with the amusement space. So that is Amusement Expo coming up March 17th to the 20th. If you haven't registered yet, go ahead and do that. They are sold out now from a trade show floor standpoint. So it should be, and in theory, it should be packed or it should be busy. So we'll see how things go there. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is my visit to Dave & Buster's. Many of you who have heard, who've listened to the show for a period of time, I generally think, and maybe you've also listened to the Sound Off and some of the conversations I've had with Kevin Williams, you will know that I am not necessarily the biggest fan of what Dave & Buster's is trying to do, not because I disagree with the social base and social competitive attractions in general. I actually think that is a leading edge. This is where the industry is going, at least a part of the industry. Obviously, we're still going to have adventure parks and soft play for other kids, and Chuck E. Cheese is still doing their thing and that kind of stuff. So I'm not saying that the full blown FEC model is going away anytime soon, but I also do believe that the competitive socializing aspect is definitely picking up steam, especially for some of the older crowd. And obviously Dave & Buster's tailors less to the kids and more to the late teens to the 20-somethings and into the early 30s. That is their target market. And so they've been adding in the social bays. And the few locations I've visited that have added the social bays, I've not been super impressed with. In fact, we actually did one of the reviews in the Sound Off. I showed some of the pictures from our visit to the Dave & Buster's in Orlando, where it felt like they were just taking the social bays and shoehorning them into the concept. And I just wasn't super impressed with that. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go visit a Dave & Buster's that was completely gutted and reimagined, which they didn't do the Orlando location, which they probably should have done. And one of the locations was in Hilliard, Ohio. And you're like, okay, why the hell were you in Hilliard, Ohio? Well, it's actually out in Ohio visiting my team with IntelliPlay. They are based in Columbus. And then we have a customer that's up in Cincinnati, and Hilliard is just right outside of the Cincinnati area. So anyway, I stopped in the Dave & Buster's and had a chance to get a drink and hang out and take a look around and do a walk. And so I thought I'd just show some pictures from my time there, my visit, and I'll show you what it felt like when I first walked in. So first of all, when I first walked in, I forgot to take a picture of that. But anyway, they have a number of kiosks when you first walk in, and then this is the first view. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so that we can see, you can see the pictures a little bit more here. So when I first walk in, the aesthetics in general for the space are significantly better. This is actually not from the exact front view in hindsight. So let me try to get that here. So this is from the main entrance. So you can see here is the bar. You've got some stats and stuff wrapped around here. They're constantly running sports scores and stuff there. You can see my cold winter jacket right here as well. And you can let's see here if I can make this a little bigger for you guys. Oh, that's not going to work out. All right. Anyway, so you walk up these steps, but like just the feeling already is like a totally breath of fresh air into the space. There's a lots of colors. There's lots of fresh wood, and the aesthetics were just much better than most of the Dave & Buster's that I've been into. They have TVs everywhere. This specific facility didn't have the big like 40-foot watch wall that they have. This didn't have that, but they did have a specific sports sitting area, which we'll take a look at right here. So this is, here is the bar on the right-hand side. And then you look over to the left, they have a couple of big TVs with some sports areas. And then they had this thing in the back, which is this little VIP area. And I will zoom into that here. So this is like, they call this like a VIP watch area. It didn't look super comfy for me, but the nice thing about being in there is you could get a server, like a dedicated server. It was, I think, something like $100 an hour or $200 an hour to rent this space. I can't remember exactly, but you can also bring in your own game consoles. So you can come in, plug in your own game consoles and, play Nintendo Switch or whatever there as well. So, that certainly was, I thought was an interesting feature they'd added. And then, you can turn around and like, this was to the right from the bar. So like, as you come in the main entrance, you turn to the right. And here are their 3 electric shuffle bays from Conductor. So Conductor's like a supercharged shuffle. I call it electric shuffle. Sorry, their supercharged shuffle thing. And the 2 of them were empty, but this bay 1 was occupied. And what I liked to see actually was that it was actually occupied by a young family. So the kids seemed to be having a lot of fun. It seemed to be intuitive enough for the kids to be able to play. So good job, Conductor, for making sure that the gameplay was intuitive enough for like pretty small kids, and they were able to like get up on a little step stool and slide the pucks down, and they were seeming to have a lot of fun. So that was their bays. Again, just the flow of the space was much better than where we were before. So here's another angle of the watch area with the private booth area. And then we'll come here. And so here were their 2 arenas. So if you look here to the right, this is where the supercharged shuffle is over here. And then as you walk down the hallway, as you're making your way to the arcade area, are the 2 arenas. Both arenas were functional, which was good. And they really look nice. They pop really well. Again, this is another arena by Conductor. But this is another attraction by Conductor called their arena, and they have 2 of them, and they look really nice, constantly cycling. You can't see, this is not a video, but would normally be cycling a bunch of imagery on the floor because this is an LED floor, and LED walls and stuff. So like they look really nice, they pop really well, but nobody was playing them, so I didn't get a chance. I was there for about an hour, almost an hour and a half. And I did not get a chance to actually see anybody playing the arena there. So, there were plenty of other people in the arcade and other areas. And then as you turn, if you were like standing at this little countertop with the arena here, and you were to just like do a 180 and then face the other direction, you would then see the 501 darts that they had here. So the 501 darts were probably the most popular, and they all happened to be like, couldn't tell if it was a corporate groups or what. But at one time, all 3 bays were actually active here. So bays 4, 5, and 6, and they were all playing, having a lot of fun. And definitely the 501 darts experience was was helping out there. So anyway, I would just say that all in all, I was more impressed by this location than I have been in a long time by taking a look at. Well, I don't know where they all went. I like zoomed way out. Anyway, here we go. And then, they had their actual redemption store is the other thing I wanted to point out too. So they've totally redone their redemption. Instead of just being a redemption counter, it is now a full redemption store. And then they also have this here. I heard from the employees like, oh, they have self-tap, the self-tap, the self-pour beers, dirty glasses, clean glasses. I asked them if it was functional, if I could grab a beer, and they said no. In fact, nobody was using it, and so they were looking at tearing it out. So it sounds like it was an experiment that just didn't go well, and they're looking at tearing it out. Now, this new location has been open for a year since it was renovated. It was February 2nd, 2024 that it opened last year. And I thought it had the feeling of a brand new build inside, but it actually was a full gutted remodel, and I didn't realize that until I did some research. So great job to Dave & Buster's. I think that if this is the layout and the model and everything else that they're really trying to go for, they have a much better potential, I think, to see some of these things get used. I still think they have a branding issue. They have an awareness issue. I think most people still think of Dave & Buster's as having a sports bar with an arcade and not these other competitive socializing aspects. So it's definitely something they're going to need to overcome over time. But this facility really felt nice, and the staff was great, and I didn't see a lot of the same really messy things. And so it could have been a really strong GM thing that was made it different. But anyway, that's my take on and my visit to Dave & Buster's in Hilliard, Ohio. All right. The second and last thing that I wanted to talk about is this new experience at Area 15, and this is called Fork and Film. And so Fork and Film say don't just watch the movie, taste it. Now, I don't know if anybody else has come across this before. Apparently they are in a few hundred other locations, but basically they're an immersive movie watching and dining experience. And what it is the dishes that are served are actually from the films and are served as they appear on screen. So they time your food and your drinks with the stuff that you're actually watching, which I thought was pretty cool. So they recreate dishes from classic films. They serve them exactly when that happens. They use, I don't know what this means exactly, but the state-of-the-art visuals and surround sound. They create a fully immersive atmosphere, and they just engage you in this whole entire experience. And so they're showing videos and movies like Mean Girls, Holes, Beauty and the Beast, Mulan, Alice in Wonderland. A good example here is here's Lady and the Tramp. Like, how perfect would it be? Like, hey, I get a bowl of spaghetti with some meatballs right when it's being served to Lady and the Tramp. They're also doing like Ratatouille, The Princess and the Frog, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Like, that one's just got to be chaotic. Like, maybe they're just throwing food at you. I don't know. And then Monsters, Inc. And so they basically collaborate with a bunch of teams of chefs, venues, and partners to create these experiences. And it is located on the second floor of Area 15 in Las Vegas, right next to Wink World. Now, I don't know if it's on the left side or the right side. If it's on the right side, then the space that it's in is actually pretty small. It used to be an immersive experience where you'd go in and like listen to lights and sounds and music, and like it was kind of weird and a waste of money, frankly. So I'm hoping they did replace that one. But anyway, that is this. So I just thought I'd just quickly show the website, because what I thought was fascinating is each one of these experiences starts. There's 3 different levels. There's like general admission, a premium, and then like a VIP. Or it's a first row, a front row, and then a VIP experience. And each one of these, they range from $199 per person per ticket, per film, to $299 per person. So like, you could literally go and watch Ratatouille and spend more to watch Ratatouille and have a meal than you would to go to Disneyland. And I thought, wow, okay, so clearly, like, I wonder how much they sell out. Like, I don't know how many people that they're serving. But every single one of these, this Ratatouille didn't exist yesterday, so they must have just opened this one up, which would also be a fun one to watch. But every other one fucking sold out. It's unbelievable. And they only do this a couple of nights. So Moana sold out, Coco, Mean Girls, literally all of these, Mulan, Monsters, like all of these are sold out. Little Mermaid was the latest, was just live yesterday, and I could have bought tickets, sold out already. So pretty amazing to me that all of these are already sold out. And, when you go to buy tickets, you'll notice it really are just small runs. So 2 on Saturday, February 15th for Valentine's Day, and then 1 March 14th for, again. So again, just pretty remarkable that they can, sell these for $199 a pop. And yet, So here it is, $199, $249, and $299. Unbelievable to me. But anyway, if you're in the Las Vegas area and you're looking for something fun to do, definitely check out Fork and Film. I thought it was a totally cool concept. And, I honestly will probably try out one of these things one of these times. So anyway, that being said, when we come back from a quick word from our sponsor, we'll hear from Kevin Williams with Open and Shut. It took me a second there. Open and Shut. All right, we'll be back. Intercard is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. cashless systems from Intercard increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercard is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon.
Hey, a big hello to everyone, and welcome to the latest Open and Shut. And yet again, we have quite a crowded selection to go through, so let's jump straight into the deep end, as it were. We have seen a explosion of retro arcade facilities in the States, and we have also seen the growth of a number of chains outside of North American market. In the UK, there are two quite large, what I would call retro arcade bar and cocktail kinds of establishments. And one of those is NQ64. It's gone for a very grunge roller skating kind of environment, and they just announced the latest of their openings in Nottingham. The interesting component about this opening is that it isn't a standalone completely. It is actually part of a redeveloped former Roxy Ballroom. Roxy Ballroom being a boutique bowling kind of environment. They closed down last year, and NQ64 has jumped straight in, redeveloped the space to suit their needs. This is a little bit more of an eclectic retro arcade. They still have some classic arcade machines, but they also have suitable modern-ish amusement machines in the mix. Jumping over to Raleigh in North Carolina, and we have Super Rad Retro Lounge, which again is just finishing its completion and is throwing its doors open, I think, in this week or next week. They have a bit of pool, they have pinball, but they also have retro amusement machines in there by the name. What a giveaway. They're also going for a family-friendly approach to this kind of venue. As I zoom through these, if you want more detail, just pause the video at the appropriate part and read the text on the slides. The retro and the lounge kind of component continues with the Pinball Lounge in Canada, here in Ontario. That's about 40 of the classic and modern, 40 of the modern, 70, here we get the numbers right, 70 of the modern pinball machines and 20 video amusement and other entertainment systems in there. It's really dedicated as a pinball environment. Nice name, Antisocial Pinball Lounge, anti-social, but fundamentally it's offering that barcade environment, but heavily themed in one particular machine's direction. Then we jump over to Arkansas, and we have Let's Roll Playground. This is boutique bowling with amusement capabilities. First time we can actually kind of see the application of the boutique bowling concept going into the mainstream rather than just being a selection of individual sites. It's now ubiquitous across the deployment. If you're thinking about opening a bowling facility, you're thinking about making it a social entertainment experience. Let's Roll is part of a chain of 3 sites. So again, momentum is building up regarding this kind of application. Interesting that this site also includes laser tag, so they're going for the full mixed use application. The continuation of the explosion of crane venues. We have a couple in this particular sound selection. The first is what is Marriott Arcade, which is a Japanese themed approach. So a lot of the merch inside the products is Japanese themed, or actually comes from properties linked to that. The crane style approach is also supported by a little bit of amusement and an F&B component. This is part of a chain of sites, and this is their third venue going in. Then we have our friends at Bandai Namco and their cross-store facility. This is their Gashi-Po retail unit operation. Comes in two kinds of flavors, one where it's just purely a Gashi-Po installation, and the other where it's Gashi-Po with some merchandising and entertainment component. This is the standard size. This is going into New York, into a retail unit there. Again, it's worth keeping an eye on. We saw at the recent EAG show on the Bandai Namco amusement booth that they were pushing very heavily their Gashi-Po component, and the cross store is an element of that. There's also been some developments with Bandai Namco in Japan, the parent company, regarding their amusement operation. We will go into more detail about that in the sound off. Very interesting times ahead. Then we have Bootsverse. This, mentioned it before, Tato's kind of social entertainment, Japanese flavored venue in Tokyo, of course. It has a bit of everything. It has dark light mini golf. It has the interactive floors. I think, it is a kludge of different competitive socializing environments, but in an amusement mix. But now it's pivoting more and more towards being more of its own thing as a dedicated competitive socializing venue targeted for the Japanese audience. Very interesting to keep an eye on and to see if we will see the roles reverse and that Bootverse will actually pivot and come to the West. We're not sure. Bat and Ball. Had to do some research here. Corporation that runs a number of restaurants also has a social entertainment version or chain to their operation. They're opening up their next Bat and Ball facility in London. That's 12,000 square. The venue comprises, 8 different types of games. So they've got bat and ball, as you would expect. They've got AR darts. They've got ping pong, so that's the bat and ball side. They've got shuffleboard, and they've got a neon, dark light mini golf. So it really is a mixed use competitive socializing environment writ large. 12,000 square is nothing to sneeze about, especially within the London market. And this is their second facility based on this format, and I think it's part of their aim to gain momentum so they can compete against the flight clubs and the clays of that market. Select Start. Yeah, okay, give it to them. Winnipeg, Canada. Bit of Japanese style nostalgia. I'm not going to say retro. It's 8,000 square. It's more a mixture of classic arcade games, not retro per se, but classics from the video game classics of the 1990s kind of styling. Candy cabs. If you know your Japanese amusement machines, you know these are the sit down, usually 2-player video game ones. There's also a little bit of redemption in here. I think they have a couple of cranes, but also there is a cocktail F&B element that they're pushing quite heavily. Flight Club, we were just mentioning them a moment ago, and they're continuing their US rollout. The latest one on the list is St. Louis. Their location there, they have 11 let's get this right. They have multiple bays. They have elevated areas for the food and beverage. So it's a multi-level kind of approach. They're really pushing the social darts into the US market, trying to create that social mix. And, after we were talking about their Washington opening and now St. Louis, they're really putting the marketing effort behind it. And if you remember in our previous sound off, we were talking about the franchise operations that have raised money to roll out multiple sites now as the land grab begins. Purple Quarter, bit of retro, bit of amusement, bit of cocktail. 2,000 square, 2,500 square to be exact. Pinball in there, competitive socializing through various of the activities. They're really pushing that kind of approach. St. Louis, as we were saying. And this is a unique first offering in this. They changed the name that they were originally going for, and they're now focusing on the Purple Quarter name. And we'll keep an eye on them to see what the reaction is and if they can gain the momentum to open a second site based on this. And talking about chains, third site for our friends at Free Play Bar Arcade, Massachusetts. Heavy on the pinball, heavy on the retro machines, heavy on the cocktail and the bar side. Are you seeing a pattern here? You know, we have had the Christmas period. We're now seeing the openings of a number of these kinds of barcade facilities based upon what they feel that the audience within the current financial climate is going to want to embrace. We're not saying staycation, but we are saying that the individuals are going to be spending a lot more time closer to home in social entertainment experiences, as it were. Tiki Bar, this is Glasgow. They've added, so this isn't a brand new facility, but they've actually parachuted in competitive socializing into their tiki cocktail bar environment. A couple of state-of-the-art digital darts. I think from the video I was looking at, their 501 fun systems, and that is really something that we're going to see other venues emulating, where they're going to free up space within their mainly hospitality environment to add some kind of entertainment mix. Talking about our friends Dave and Buster's, they've reopened one of their venues after going through modernization in Wisconsin. They've put in a really large 360 gaming TV, as it were, to watch the game, the watch party element. They've added the new menu, and this venue also has the inclusion of the social bays, and pushed front and center is the arena that our friends at Conductar have developed for them. It will be fascinating to get more details on the revenue generation from these social bays in the breakout of how these new venues are doing. We're led to believe that we're going to be hearing more news from Dave and Buster's about further restructuring, but again, they're still continuing with a very active rollout process. Ballroom Bowl, again in Canada. This kind of facility is a mixture of boutique bowling, duck pin though this time, so shorter lanes and much more accessible for the social engagement, 15 of that, along with the F&B, the cocktails. There's a little bit of amusement added to this mix. Not part of a chain as far as I understand. Then Sandbox jumps into the hospitality sector, continuing their rollout in Germany. They just announced that they will be putting, for the first time, one of their free roam environments inside an existing hotel. The hotel in Cologne has just been finished, and they've set aside a certain part of the space towards adding this virtual reality entertainment environment. A big first. I've been a big proponent of utilizing the ballrooms of hotel chains and turning them into entertainment offerings. Here we see this being done with, for the first time, with a virtual reality experience. Continuing the retro and classic game mix, Night City Arcade, like the vibe, Illinois. Very aimed at the edgy arcade scene. They've imported a number of the Japanese music machines exclusively over to populate their facility. Something very similar to what our friends at Round One do, where they know their audience and they bring in unique machines which draw audience and are also fun to play. They also have some free play machine options. It's much more of a lounge an edgy lounge environment with amusement machines at their heart that's been created with the Night City brand. Then our friends at Riverside Activity, Active Entertainment, Glow in the Dark, golf, bowling, and specifically their laser tag. This is going into Andover in the UK. A Wix department store, or what we would call a hardware store, has closed down and has been repopulated with this Riverside Activity Zone facility. This is part of a chain. I think this is about number 3 or 4 of the Riverside offerings. So finally, we jump into the shots. Sad news, Gunpowder Plot, an immersive experience that mixed live actors with virtual reality and immersive elements, kind of a visitor attraction experience, placed next door to the Tower of London in the City of London, and open its doors in 2022. I went to the opening of this. Their cocktails were fantastic. They've now turned around and said that this will be closing in March. They haven't really given a reason for the closing of this facility so many years after opening. But, they're talking that they've had about 150,000 guests go through since they first opened the site. And of course, Laird Reality, the company behind this, has bigger fish to fry, as they are just about to open in London the Elvis experience, which is going to be a big bash, and we hope to go to the opening of that and report on how they achieve their new level of immersive entertainment. But the War of the Worlds, the Gunpowder Plot were groundbreaking immersive and virtual reality live action experiences, and it's a shame to see the Gunpowder Plot go. We wish all of the team involved with that the best in their next endeavors. Little bit of a weird one here. Texas is losing the Lunar Mini Golf Glow in the Dark facility. It was located in the Grapevine Mills Mall in Texas. And the local paper is reporting that the owners of the mall have shuttered this facility. We don't know if it is due to underperformance or whatever. I don't even have a date of when it first opened, but this is just another casualty of war in a crowded mini golf environment. Maybe the lack of any F&B has played a part in its demise. And then some good news, kind of. Well, definitely very good news. Smash Putt had to close down 7 years ago in Seattle. It was an arty boutique style mini golf environment, a lot of artwork incorporated into the mini golf experience and the F&B, or more drink than food here. And they've just announced that they will be reopening in the next couple of weeks. They've found a new location, and they're busily getting ready to throw the doors open for the first of their clientele. And again, nice to see a close turn into an open. We wish all of them the best of luck with the new installation. Anyway, that's it for now. Still more to come. Watch this space next week. But anyway, any questions or any corrections, please don't hesitate to send me an email. But that's it from now. Have a good one.
All right. Well, thank you, Kevin, for walking us through all the latest openings and closings. And I'll say, you know what? It's like a super bummer to hear things like Gunpowder Plot go and shut down. I'm a massive fan of Phantom Peak and, and just those types of really immersive experiences. And so anyway, it's a bummer to hear about Gunpowder Plot, but hopefully we'll continue to see really innovative, unique experiences like that popping up in the future. Another quick commentary here: Purple Quarters in St. Louis like, I think we should stop calling our stuff quarters if we're going to be not coin op, but okay, it's fine. But then this boot verse in Tokyo, actually, I wanted to circle back on this one because at first, like, the one that caught my eye was street curling. I was like, okay, what is street curling? I got to check it out. And I actually couldn't find street curling on their attraction list, even though it was on their press release. But they had a bunch of other wacky things. And so I thought I'd just quickly pull this up here and we'd take a look at some of the attractions that they actually do have. Some of these are, in fact, probably a number of these are actually custom developed for this location. And as Kevin had mentioned, Bootverse is by Taito. And so they obviously are really trying to experiment with location-based entertainment. But I can see facilities like this doing actually pretty well. Depending on how polished the attractions and the experience really is. Sometimes these things are not quite that polished. But here, let me just pull this up on stage. We can take a look at it, and we can have a discussion around it. All right. So this is the general layout. So you can see there's a bunch of different bays with different games and experiences. And so as we scroll through these, in fact, I'm going to see if I can make this a little bit larger here. So hopefully this is bigger for us to take a look at. Yes, maybe. I don't know what just happened here. I don't know where my... Okay, well, anyway, I think it's a little better now. All right, so we have Ninja Warriors Extreme and, this bubble putter battle. And then, coming down here, it's like the Space Invaders, like you're actually hitting, I think throwing balls at these Space Invaders here in a baseball field. Some of this stuff, obviously, like basketball, okay, whatever. They have multi-ball with some pickleball paddles and, some of these things. But this one was interesting, the Shark Escape. They're actually riding, for those of you who are listening here, they're actually riding like this inflatable, they're sitting in this inflatable thing, and then they have oars, and they have to like escape a shark. So you get in the boat, row the oars, and survive the approaching swarm of sharks. It's a 4D survival experience. I thought it was super interesting. Obviously things like air hockey, some standard stuff. This triple ping pong, duck pin bowling. Okay, great. Bubble sumo. So you get in bubble balls. They have rolling jumps, and then the Sonic Blast survival rush and fall. So they basically, you sit on these edges and you just like punch a little punching bag, and you're trying to get like as many punches as you possibly can. And so anyway, just thought there's really unique attractions in here. It's sort of like a little bit of a mission room vibe to it, almost like a playground maybe, or an Activate, but yet more open bays. So anyway, without obviously having visited this in Tokyo, I'd be really interested in going and checking it out, but thought that what they were doing was pretty cool. All right, coming up after the break, we're going to have Arcade Corner with Adam Pratt.
If you run a location-based entertainment brand and want to attract more visitors, check out Radius. They use real-time location data and customized marketing strategies to help brands like yours stand out. Radius can boost your foot traffic and build a loyal customer base. Plus, they're offering a complimentary local market analysis to show you exactly how they can help you grow. Curious? Visit radius.co and ask about your free market analysis. That's RAYDIUS.co.
Hey everyone, it's Adam with Arcade Corner for the LBX Collective, and this week's arcade news comes to us sort of from Japan, but this actually does apply to the West, what I'm going to talk about today, which is on my screen, which I'm pulling from arcadeheroes.com. First off is Sega's MyDX is headed to Amusement Expo 2025. It's really the first game confirmed for Amusement Expo, and then Bandai Namco has a new racing game. Let's talk about My first, and then we'll get into that racing game. Now, My, you might be familiar with it through cultural osmosis. I guess that might be the right way to call it. It's the arcade game out of Japan that looks like a washing machine. And so it's actually been around for about over 10 years now. It came out in 2012 in Japan. And it's gone through a lot of different versions, and it's a little bit hard to follow versions, which personally I find that to be the case with most rhythm games. Whenever I'm asked, what's the difference between version X and version Y, and it's oftentimes not really clear because the manufacturers rarely publish all of the differences and changes and song lists and such. I just kind of like whatever. As long as the game works, and has whatever features that I think appeal to my customers, that's what's most important. But I always have to go and ask a rhythm gamer who's like really into this stuff and eats, breathes, and sleeps rhythm games to find out, so what's the version that people really like, that gamers like yourself are into. But anyways, if you've never seen My before, let's load up this video here. And so it uses a bezel in front of a touchscreen monitor. And so the top portion, it serves as a digital marquee. It's obviously all one monitor, and we've seen other games do that before as well. But having that circular style appearance, it's always been one of those things that draws attention, because you just don't come across a circular screen, even though it's cheating to do it. But also around the edges, the rim there, is where you'll see these buttons. And so it's a hybrid touchscreen and button controlled game. And now the version that is currently, the most recent version of My that's out in Japan is called My DX Prism. This is one version behind that. And this is video from a US location test. It's actually tested out at Dave & Buster's at Round 1 USA. And most recently has been testing at a place called Velocity Esports. And so this video right here shows you basically how the game works. And it is from one of these location tests. I didn't catch which exact location it is, but as you can see, it blends those two things in. Now, of course, if it's too fast for you, there are different difficulty settings, such as easy, where you don't have things flying at you so much. But of course, a lot of it does involve hitting the notes, kind of like DDR. It's the notes hit the certain goal line, and you have to hit it right then to get a perfect or a critical perfect, as this one has. But also things like sweeping across the screen on the touch screen itself and such, or tapping actual notes on the screen there. And of course, this would be a player at a much higher level. But that's one of the nice things about this. Like, if you've never really invested into music games before, one of the things that can be quite an effect is like people like this guy playing here really get into it and become very dedicated to it. And they'll come back to your venue over and over again, and oftentimes bring friends who are like-minded, or make new friends as well. Similar effect to what happened with DDR. But this one, it's all hand-based, which personally, in the past, there was Re-Rave Arcade. And I found that I played Re-Rave a lot better than I ever played DDR. I'm just not as coordinated with my feet as I am with my hands. Now, could I do this? Not without a lot of practice. But still, it's not only comes with a dedicated community, it also, like, people love watching others play like this, and they also love filming themselves playing great like this too, just as we're seeing here, and posting it online so they can get some internet clout, going viral, whatever. And so a lot of that stuff, it's again, it's beneficial to your venue just for that reason alone. But I always get the feel that a lot of arcade operators don't really pay too much attention to it. I mean, there are some that do, with Step Maniacs or Pump It Up, which has been out there. Part of the problem is there hasn't been an official DDR release here in the States for a very long time. And I think that's part of the reason why maybe some operators may not give it the amount of love, music games, the amount of love that they need. But this also has online features. It has a camera built into it. It comes with the 2 units. It's not just one. So you're guaranteed 2 players. But one thing that's not clear yet is if there's any cost to the online features and things of that nature. You don't have to wear gloves, as I just noticed with that on the screen. You can. A lot of hardcore players like to, because you're moving your fingers around a touch screen a lot. It reduces friction. But that kind of gives us an idea there. And then this is just a shot of the cabinet itself. And so this will be at Amusement Expo. Sega said that they're taking pre-orders for it now. And so if you are interested in it, you can do so with your preferred Sega distributor. However, so far I've not heard what the price is on this one. Now, obviously, this is somewhat of a response to Bandai Namco's Taiko no Tatsujin, which was at IAPA, which was the drumming Japanese game. And so Sega decided, hey, if they're doing Taiko, let's do Mai Mai. Because, like I said, there are some super, super dedicated fans to Mai Mai. There's one story I read of an American who moved to Hong Kong just so she could play Mai Mai. That was her primary reason for moving to Hong Kong, was for this game. And so not many games induce that sort of fervor in them. But also, I know I'm jumping around a little bit here. Along with Mai Mai, it has some similar song styles as Taiko no Tatsujin does. So you have like J-pop, Vocaloid music. You have music designed just for this. You have some music that comes from some other Sega-made rhythm games, and so overall it's a very Japanese game, but it also has songs from anime, in which that's become a lot more popular here in the States with the rising generation. That's possibly why they decided to go forward and hit on that. So yeah, and that will be at Amusement Expo. But the other game that I mentioned here a moment ago, now at this moment, I don't have an official confirmation. I've talked with Bandai Namco about this, the European and the US sides, about Wing and Midnight Speed Ignition. And so Wing and Midnight is also known as Maximum Tune. And so Bandai Namco Amusements America has sold Maximum Tune 5 DX Plus. It doesn't have the Wing and Midnight name on it in the States because of some licensing issue, I think. But perhaps that's been resolved now. Either way, this is looking like what would be considered to be Maximum Tune 7. Maximum Tune 6 was released in Japan, Southeast Asia, Oceania, but it was not officially released in Europe and the United States. They skipped that one. And I was told years ago that the plan was to do 7 all over the world. And again, there's no official confirmation on that yet, but from my understanding, at least from those that older statement, is that still is the plan of what they're going to do here. And so this is a racing game. I actually have a Maximum Tune 5 DX Plus sitting here next to me. You can kind of see it. It's got this terminal kiosk, and you can sort of see the game there. But the thing that makes Maximum Tune a little bit different from other racing games out there is I once heard somebody at Namco describe it as like something like Fast and Furious or Cruise and Blast would be like a roller coaster ride, whereas Maximum Tune is closer to a simulator. It's not exactly a simulator. It's not like Gran Turismo, where they're trying to mimic the exact physics of cars and all that. However, it's about as close as we get in this industry without it being one of those simulators that you see at IAPA from like Cruden or one of those companies. But now what they're doing with this, what I noticed is there's no terminal. With Maximum Tune 5 DX Plus, you had to buy either 2 units or 4 units, and each one came with a terminal, this terminal kiosk for doing the Bandai Namco passport cards, or called Bana passports at one point. That's not here. Now, of course, it is very early. This was just announced in Japan last night from when I'm recording this. And so there could be more details coming forth where they show a terminal later on, or they could be getting rid of that. And they could maybe even be getting rid of the whole passport system and just having it work online, but just having you do accounts right on the machine. Not sure, but there is a stick shifter on these ones. It's on the right-hand side, which is typical for Asian cars, whereas most likely it would be put over on the left-hand side for the Western release. But again, don't know yet, especially where there hasn't been an actual official confirmation as to whether or not this will show up over in the States. But just like I was talking about with rhythm games and titles like My and Tekken no Tatsujin, Maximum Tune has a very dedicated fan base, and it's so good that actually my Maximum Tune 5 in both 2023 and 2024, it was my #1 earning game at my arcades. And that's because I have a lot of regulars that come and play it over and over. I have one guy who comes in every single Saturday morning. He's put in over 3,000 plays onto the game. He just loves playing the game, racing, getting the crowns, because it has this feature where it's kind of like King of the Hill, and whoever wins the course on that drive gets the crown until somebody else comes and beats them. And so it has a lot of really cool features on it, and it has a story mode, allows you to level up your car almost like a role-playing game does, and get new parts, and there's all sorts of licensed cars and all that. And so I think this could be a big deal. And I guess another thing to mention for both of these games is neither of them are available on home consoles or on phones. These are all exclusive to the arcade scene, and I think that's something that also helps, because they're both My and something like this are experiences you can't get at home. Even imitations at home. And so that makes them more desirable. But I have no idea, again, since don't know if this is coming stateside or not. I mean, maybe it could, but it could be a while out. So I doubt this would be at Amusement Expo. I'd be shocked. So maybe we'll see if it's there at IAPA 2025 or if it comes at all. But thanks for watching Arcade Corner. We'll see you on the next one.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks, Adam, for that. And yeah, when I was looking at the My, I've actually had a chance to see that. So you can find them sometimes at around ones. They're also, you'll find some random arcade bars. Like there's an arcade bar in Orlando that actually has a fair number of Japanese import games. And so I was able to see the My. And I think one of the things that I think is really important about these games, but also, one of the trends we've been seeing in just amusements in general is leveraging the spectator aspect. And so, much like Dance Dance Revolution and a lot of the other dance and rhythm games, you have people who will go and hang out, and there'll be like 2 or 3 maybe that are actually doing it, but they're like a whole group of friends and they're all hanging out, watching. Maybe they'll rotate here and there, but spectating is as much a part of the social aspect of those games as it is to actually play them. And so having a spectator aspect is absolutely really important. And that is why we're beginning to see that trend in a lot of other games, especially where you'll have a big video screen up here that serves no other purpose whatsoever, but to allow the people who are with them to be able to spectate as well. So anyway, thanks a lot, Adam, for that walkthrough. It was a great one, and we will definitely look forward to next week. All right, coming up, we'll have a quick wrap up, and then we'll be signing off. Intercard is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. Cashless systems from Intercard increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercard is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon. All right, so we can't end an LBX show without talking about the LBX Galaxy. This is our online community. And one thing I will mention about LBX Galaxy, when you go there and you log in, you'll notice there's a section where all of our videos are posted, and you'll notice all those videos are no longer available. That is because I made a major fuck up and apparently deleted our entire YouTube account. I was cleaning things out, and I was doing some stuff, and apparently the YouTube account was originally created by Christine and still connected to her Gmail, her lbxcollective.com Google account. And when I was clearing that out, it apparently deleted the entire LBX Collective YouTube channel. And so I am working as much as I possibly can behind the scenes to get that back up and running. But anyway, we will have an LBX Collective YouTube channel again very soon. And at the worst, if the worst that'll happen is, the last 6 months of videos, we'll be able to get back posted there, but we'll have lost the videos for the previous, previous 9 months or so that we've been creating videos, which is a bit of a bummer. But, all of our stuff can still be listened to in podcast form, but we will have lost a lot of those videos. So I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm working as much as possible to get that back up and running. all that said, if you go to the LBX Galaxy, there you can watch all those videos, but you can do a lot more, which is like chat with everybody else that is a part of the community, ask questions and share ideas and share concepts and share other videos and things that you're coming across. So absolutely encourage you to go and visit lbxgalaxy.com or scan this QR code if you're watching this video and join the Galaxy. Last off, I'll leave you with the fact that we've got a great sound off number 61 happening in a couple of days on Tuesday, February 11th, and really excited about that one as well. We had a great conversation on a couple of different areas, so highly recommend you give that a listen or a watch when that comes out. All right, all that being said, this is Brandon Wiley signing off. Stay tuned and keep kicking ass.